And finally, to introduce Kurt Harris, this year's Alumnus of the Year, is a gentleman that I didn't realize attended Weatherford College, which is another feather in our cap. Class of 1969, retired captain and shift commander of the Weatherford Fire Department, former Weatherford Mayor Pro Tem. Please welcome Craig Swancy.
Brent, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Dr. Eaton, I need to tell you something. Tom makes a great neighbor as well. We were lucky to have him and his wife as neighbors for years. Sweetest neighbors you could ever get. Anyway, I have a few things to say about our Fire Marshal, Kurt Harris, today. And yes, this is his roast. No, I won't do that to Kurt, but very first thing, Kurt taught me many things. Ladies and gentlemen, your fire exits to the left, to the rear, out this way, so in case there's an emergency, we get that out of the way. Kurt and I are brothers of a different kind. We're firefighters. We have a kindred relationship many people don't understand. We've been through the thick of it and through the thin of it, and we've been in the worst of it. And there's a special bond with firefighters. You go, we go. Never forget that. Anyway, mayor, city manager, staff, alumni, honorees, down to business. Today's a special day for me because I get to tell you a little bit about my good friend. Kurt and I met many years ago at the fire department. He had just gotten back from the Army, and they put him to work, and I was an eager volunteer fireman trying to get a job at the fire department. If you don't know about Kurt's past, his dad, Bill Pope, had the Pope Ranch out north of town where we all rode motorcycles over hill and dale when we were young and adventuresome. Kurt and I bonded up pretty quickly. He was my officer, so wherever he went, I went also. It was interesting times because there weren't a lot of firefighters. We didn't have a lot of stations, didn't have a lot of equipment. He and I went everywhere and put out everything we possibly could, and if we couldn't, we called for help. It was tough times, but we learned to manage. Kurt worked through the fire department, advanced up in rank and everything, and once he became our fire marshal, we didn't get to see him near as much on shift work because he was there 8 to 5 every day doing his inspections and fire investigations. So since we didn't get to see him quite as often, we had to develop these little personal things where we knew, you know, you have to endear yourself with your fellow firemen. We developed little nicknames for Kurt, like the Fire Marshmallow, and my favorite, the Wondrous Woo. And I told him I would not tell that story today, but if you want to know about the Wondrous Woo, please look me up. I'll explain that one. It's a very tender story. Now, to the serious stuff. As George Washington once said, as I've grown old, my eyes have grown weak. Married to Patty, they have children AJ, 30, twins Bailey and Casey, 25, and Rebecca, 18. Rebecca is the love of his life. She is ever-growing little girl, and she's the sweetest little thing you ever met in your life. Kurt is a 1966 graduate of Weatherford High School. From there, he went to Weatherford College 66 through 68 and was the class president in his freshman year. Class favorite, too. That's back when he had hair, wasn't it? Yeah, today he went through the certifications of firefighter, fire inspector, arson investigator, fire marshal, and he was a state fire marshal's office. And he is a certified police officer as well. So you get a lot when you get Kurt to come to the scene. He's had a very distinguished career. We spent many days in the fire station talking about his love of the Army in Fort Dix, New Jersey. There's many kind words he had to say about Fort Dix, and especially in the wintertime. It must have been one of the coldest places on the planet, across from New York. He achieved the rank of Specialist 5 during his 6-year career, was employed with the Weatherford Fire Department for 39 years. There is an award at the city of Weatherford now called the Kurt Harris Lifetime Achievement Award in his honor. Let's see. He worked for the State Fire Marshal's Office after he retired from the city of Weatherford for a total of 3 years, and 2 as the Assistant State Fire Marshal. I tried to get him to go for the State Fire Marshal, but he just wouldn't do it. I always thought that'd be the crowning achievement, to be the State Fire Marshal of the state of Texas. He has served as the Assistant Parker County Fire Marshal for over a year now. He's the past president of the Texas Fire Marshals Association and is chaplain of the TFMA of Texas and the chapter of the International Association of Arson Investigators, and won the Jack Sneed Award for Arson Investigator of the Year in 2006. This is the real deal, people. Everybody, we all teased Kurt so much, but you have to understand, this is a guy that walked the walk and talked the talk. Civic involvement and leadership, he's unparalleled. He sat on the original board of directors of the Parker County Committee on Aging. He helped open the first senior citizen center, past president of Weatherford High School Booster Club. This I can attest to. He coached Little League Baseball for years and drugged me along with him to help. Junior League Basketball, approximately 15 years of WSA soccer, multiple years in the United Way of Parker County, multiple years as elder at the board at the Church of Easter, currently leadership at the Journey of Grace, many years as a church youth worker, and thousands of hours mentoring young people. Thousands of hours. That I can attest to. I can't read all this because I'm going to start crying because I know him so well. Ladies and gentlemen, your fire marshal cares so much for this city, this family. It's unbelievable. You'll never find a more tender heart, and you'll never find anyone that loves the Lord more. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Kurt Harris, Fire Marshal.
That's what I didn't need. Thank you, Craig Swancy. Oh my goodness. And I just want to repeat something that my precious friend Prissy said. Just standing up here with these other honorees is so humbling to me. I knew Wayne when he had normal colored hair and I had hair. But if we're going to talk about hair, Prissy's has always looked just like that. So I can't even talk about her hair. As a matter of fact, for some of you who may not believe her story about actually playing basketball when you're only a couple inches taller than the basketball, I brought proof. She actually signed my picture way back then. This is her. I know it looks like a third grader. She actually found some action shots of herself, so she only started a few games, but there she is. I have that, and I cherish this book for reasons just like that. I do. She's my press. I did take time to look at that list of honorees of Alumnus of the Year, guys, and I want to tell you, I just don't stand up to that, and I can't thank this wonderful college enough, Dr. Eaton, my good friend Brent, who, man, I love you, and I'm so proud of you, as well as this institution, and what it has meant to me. Was certainly the foundation of my education. It started it, and like Wayne and Craig in the fire service, continuing education is something that in the both law enforcement and fire department is just part of your everyday life. It never ends. And Weatherford College played a big part in that. Not only my original 2 years here, but also all of those years after that when I had to come and get my EMT. I was in the 2nd class ever, and so while I was learning my EMT skills, they were learning how to teach EMT skills. It was really an interesting time because we weren't sure. All we knew about EMT at that point was what we saw on emergency on television, and that was pretty much it. And I wasn't sure. I was a captain at the fire department at that time, and I wasn't sure if that was something that would have been worthwhile for us to take on. So I went to that very first class to sort of measure it, and oh my goodness, it changed my life. And I can't thank Weatherford College enough for taking that on, because that was pretty bold back in those days to do that. It was expensive, and it was a pretty awesome sized task to take on, because you're taking on a lot of liability. And I would love to know, Brent, I don't know, or Dr. Eaton, how many men and women have passed through that course since it first started way back then, and how many lives have been touched, either saved or brought back into health because of that education that they received through this EMT school. It encourages me so much to think about that, because that is where the rubber meets the road. When you go out there and you actually put your hands into the middle of that situation and start doing the talents and the giftings that God has given you, as well as the equipment, and you see people walk away from these things that 10 years before that would have never had that privilege, then you know that you're doing something worthwhile. And it would have never been possible if Weatherford College had not taken that on. And it is so wonderful for me as fire marshal, ex-fire marshal at Weatherford. I've been up here many times to inspect this facility, the campus, and so much of it is new since I left. But this is not what it looked like when I was going to school here. For any of you that held your hands up earlier that never attended this campus while you were going through your original 2 years, would you raise your hand again? I mean, these are the original down at Old Main. Yeah, I see you back there with that hook'em thing. Well, for y'all that just held your hands up, the good news is that the bus is going to be out here to pick us up, or outside this door to take us back to the home when we're through. You're not going to have to walk very far. I've made those special arrangements for you. But I remember, I'm like Chris, I love that campus. Was it old? Yes. Was it antiquated? Yes. But man, I love that campus. It was a beautiful campus. It was in the hub of the city. It was right downtown. And I think about those buildings, that old brownstone main building, and the new modern, semi-modern science building, the old sub that was down there. It was a remarkable place. And we felt close to each other. We were very, very close. This is an example of that. Chris, who was 1 year in front of me, Greg, who was a year behind me, but we all felt like we were one big community. And we were very close. Things changed down there. We have beautiful dormitories up here now, as a matter of fact, dormitories that were built after the first dormitories. But back in those days, the only dormitories we had was an old two-story house behind where the CBS sits now. And that's where our athletes stayed. Now I say that during my 2 years here, they didn't stay there as much as they stayed at my place. A couple of blocks up and 1 block over on East Simmons Street, there used to be a log house. It set way back off the street. A guy named James Gay, who was a walk-on basketball player, and myself rented that little establishment. And we did it to be close to the school, someplace to stay. He was from Poolville. I was from here in Weatherford, but I lived way out north of town, 10 miles north of town. Way too far to come every single day to go to college, so we rented that place. And besides, my mother at that time had come down with cancer and had moved back to Fort Worth. And so there really wasn't anybody at the ranch. So I rented that little log house with James. Little did we know that that would become the hub. I had 6'9" basketball players coming in and out of that place night and day when they weren't in school, supposedly, and having to duck down, come in, and they just filled the whole place up. And they were not from around here. They're not Weatherford boys. They're from Houston, and we had one from New York, and so they were really out of their element. But you know what? I loved those guys. And they felt at home in that log house. And I was grateful that they were there. Now that didn't keep us from getting in trouble occasionally. They would start making a lot of noise, and as boys will do, especially big boys, you can't creep around when you're 6'9". Everybody's going to see you. So, but we managed to make it. Now it was difficult on James and I. That was our only structure in which we could study. And with all the traffic coming in and out, it wasn't just basketball players, it was all the who's who of Weatherford. I've got names coming through my mind, and I'm not going to repeat those because I don't want to get them in any trouble, but they were there. And James and I would sneak off to our bedroom and try to lay down and go to sleep at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And there would be people standing in our kitchen throwing darts, laughing, talking, joking, fighting, and not a bad fighting, just wrestling around. And we would struggle to try to sleep. But we never kicked them out because they were much, much, much too important to us as people to even consider doing that. But the opportunities that were there to know all those people from every place else, to reaffirm friendships. I mean, I didn't know James Gay at all until we came to Weatherford College, and he has become a fast friend of mine and is still a friend of mine today. And it was Weatherford College that brought us together, as well as so many others. And I was amazed, Chris, as I looked at our annual, and I started looking at those names, how many of us, Gary Snow, that graduated from Weatherford that went right into Weatherford College. I'd forgotten how many. I remembered a lot, but I mean, there was a bunch that used this as their platform to take that next step. And they couldn't have found or asked for a better place to do that. The perfect in-between place. They don't baby you here, but they do care about you here. And that medium is really important to a lot of us who, for you who know me, this is going to come as a shock, who aren't really mature enough to take that step right from high school into four-year school. This was the perfect place. Was it economical? Absolutely. Not the reason I came. Was there great education here? Absolutely. That has remained intact. Friendships that have lasted for generations, way before me, and will be lasting way after me, are made in this place. The administration here is beyond compare, and I'm so grateful that they're a part of who we are. And I don't know what it's like, honestly, now with all the groups. Now the clubs and all that were very active back when we were going. I remember a whole bunch of us on the student council loading up and going down to San Antonio. You're going to tell a story about a wreck. I'll tell you, we were down in San Antonio. I was with one of my best friends who was one of the leadership on the student council. And we were down there for a student council leadership conference. And the guy, right before we left, his name was Larry Hutchison, thought the world of him, one of the brightest guys I ever knew, had just broken up with his girlfriend. And he had just purchased him a brand new Chevy 2 Super Sport, 4 on the floor, to impress her. Well, now he had this payment and no girl to show off for. And I mean, this literally happened days before we left to go down there. So we're driving around San Antonio. I'm doing my best to cheer him up. Oh, you know, Larry, there's a lot of fish in the sea, you know, kind of thing. And as he's driving, I'm looking around, he's not responding, and I look up and I see this great big huge red light. And I look over at Larry and he is a million miles away. He's just looking into that, probably trying so hard to see that girl, just not even paying one bit of attention. And I go, oh no. I see what's about to happen, and I hollered Larry, but it was way too late, and we got T-boned. Now that wasn't unlike you, that was our fault. I didn't scream loud enough, he wasn't paying attention, and there we were in San Antonio without a vehicle. But once again, everybody rallied round, managed to get us back home, everything was fine. Larry got over it, that kind of knocked some sense into him, I think. But that Chevy 2 was so pretty, just broke my heart. But anyway, we, again, being the close-knit group we were, I took a lot of trips with our basketball team. I remember when we went out to Big Spring for a big tournament out there, and just hanging around the apartments. Actually, it was the hotel rooms with the guys playing cards. One of the most exciting moments of my life, which none of you, no matter what you're thinking right now, are going to figure out what that moment is until I tell you, because we were being like good boys waiting for the tournament to start. We were sitting on the bed and all of us were playing spades. How many of you know spades? Cool, you know what I'm talking about. We got down to the end. My partner and I are just getting smashed. We're just not even coming close to winning this thing. But oh well, we're about to go play basketball, who cares? And suddenly, on the very last hand, he deals that thing out. I pick my cards up. I look at them like this, and I have all spades and one red ace in my hand. Now guys, those who know me know I do not have a poker face. I'm going, bid. How high can you bid? I don't know what it is, but I want it all. I couldn't believe it. I was shaking like this, and they're all looking at me like, you idiot, what's going on over there? What are you doing? And I'm just thinking, I can hardly wait to lay this down. I hope someone's filming this somewhere, but no. But anyway, so it starts, and we start laying those things down. And I can't believe it. I've never heard of anything like that. I've never seen anything like that. I'm plopping those things down, and the guys are going, I didn't deal it. So it wasn't my fault. And they were just watching these things flop, go, no way, no way, no way. And finally we get down to the last couple of cards, and guess what? I've got 2 in my hand, and my partner doesn't have any in his. And both of them have 1. And I'm going, no. We had just surged into the lead, taken this, just snatched that victory right from them. And I had a misdeal. I have no idea at what point I got that ace versus all of the spades. It turns out I had 13 spades, and then I just, you know, what are you going to do? I remember that like it was yesterday, but that's what we did. That's nothing wrong with that. We just were playing cards, having a good time, and loving each other, and that's really true. I learned to love those guys. They loved me back, It was such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful 2 years, and all the years since then. And when I talked to Brent about this, he said, what do I talk about? He said, just good times and memories and people that meant something to me. Well, I want to tell you, there was a bunch of those, because as I mentioned a while ago, it was not as easy a transition for me as it would have been a lot of other people. I had to learn to take life seriously. And between Weatherford College and the thing that followed Weatherford College immediately after that, which was the United States Army, suddenly things came into focus for me. But there were a lot of men and women in my path that helped that illumine that for me. Some of those, Chris, you mentioned. I have Mr. Stockard and Mr. Bryan. Such good teachers. Funny, good, witty. I remember the day Mr. Bryan said, let me pardon myself before I say this to all of you people who are sensitive. You have to understand, Mr. Bryan, this is a biology class. He's dead serious. He stands at the front of the class. We're talking about the organs and their placement and their function. And he's standing there dead serious, and he said, how many of you here know how to cook kidneys? Nobody raised their hand. If you knew Mr. Bryan, this is what he did. Put them in the pan and boil the piss out of them. That's what he said. I thought, this is going to be all right. He and I are going to make it. And bless his heart, he had to pour a lot into me to help me get through all of that. Mr. Fuller, God bless you. You meant so much to me. Miss Pickard, who was here at the time, Miss Irby, Sharon Beecham, who was a mentor to me. I loved her deeply. Probably the two guys, and oh, by the way, Big John Vandergriff, I love you, brother, and thank you for all that time you put into me and John, and you know who I'm talking about. You meant a world of difference to me. But the two guys at Weatherford College that really, really touched me, spent time with me, poured into me, was a guy named Coach Rod Emery and a guy named Bill McClung. If you remembered the coach, he's just the most optimistic, wonderful guy, laughed about everything, and was an overcomer. He was a little short guy, but you wouldn't know that by anything that Rod Emery ever did. He was just the most optimistic, lovely human being. And Bill McClung, on the other hand, was that guy that had to call you in when things started getting rough, just to sort of straighten you out a little bit. Could be tough when he needed to be tough. Could put his arm around you and hug you when you needed that. And both those guys meant that to me. And then, what I came to find out was it wasn't that they were just nice guys, but they truly had a heart for the Lord that they were willing to share. And I didn't understand that at the time. I wasn't a Christian. I didn't know about that kind of stuff. I just knew I was drawn to these two men who cared so much and gave so much to any kid who would walk up to them with a need. They were just really, really special. And all of those men and many more besides that are the ones I gleaned from. Because I grew up without a dad. I didn't have that male influence in my life. And it was so important to me that I have those role models that I didn't understand were so important at the time. But as I saw them and I watched them, and I'd say, that's good. That's a good thing. I want some of that. And would hold on to that. It meant so much to me. And certainly, Coach Emery and Dean, the Dean, exemplified that to me. And I thank them both. Dean, who is in heaven, and I look forward to seeing him again someday, but Martha McClung, give him that for me. We can talk to him tonight. And so many others. And then what's there now? How do I know? I know some of these people that are running some of these, some of the classes up here today. Steve Malley, who's doing such a great job producing firefighters that are saving lives every day. Weatherford College, thank you for that. because I know that's an extension and it's difficult and it's expensive, but you're doing a fabulous job, as well as the EMS program, the nursing program. I mean, Patty and I are really excited about the fact that our daughter is going to be coming here to Weatherford. We look forward to that, and we know that she's going to walk away a much better person than when she came in. And we're looking forward to seeing all the things that God does in her while she's here, for however many years she's here. But that's how much Weatherford means to me. I just echo everything Wayne said, everything Chris said. I have said to Brent and numerous other people that Weatherford College is one of the crown jewels of Parker County. And these guys are the sparkle in that jewel, as well as so many others of you that I've known for such a long time. You know, you guys have made it click. You're younger than me, but you're the engine that drives this thing. And I can't thank all of you guys enough for giving us something in this community to be so proud of. Thank you for this honor. I cannot, in any kind of humility, say I deserve this, except that if the qualification for this is that you love the community that gave it to you, then I'm qualified. Because I truly love each and every one of you. I love the opportunities you've given me as fire marshal and firefighter before that. And I look forward to serving you further. However God lays it in front of me, I'm ready to go. You're the best. Thank you again for all you've done for me.
I asked Kurt to stay up here. A little surprise for Kurt. I'd like to introduce Nick Stanley, Outreach Coordinator with U.S. Representative Kay Granger.
Thank you for having me today. It truly is an honor to be here with you all today amongst such great people. I want to start by thanking Weatherford College, Dr. Eaton and Mr. Baker for having me here today. Mr. Mayor, thank you for welcoming me into your community, all of you. I'm here today to honor this fine man right here, which I have not spent any time with today other than the time that I've been fortunate enough to sit here and hear him speak and close friends speak about him. It's easy to tell that you're a man of God, a man of great service to this community. And on behalf of Congresswoman Kay Granger, I wanted to come out here today to present you with a Congressional Certificate of Recognition for outstanding and invaluable service to your community, and also a letter from the Congresswoman that I'll read now, if I may. Dear Mr. Harris, I am delighted to offer you my sincerest congratulations for the recognition recently given to you by Weatherford College. Being named the 2016 Weatherford College Alumnus of the Year is a prestigious honor, and the title is well deserved. It is because of dedicated individuals like you that our community, Parker County, and Weatherford in particular, continue to grow and thrive. The work you have done with Parker County Fire Marshal's Office, as well as your leadership roles in institutions such as Weatherford High School and Campbell Memorial Hospital, represent only a few of the many contributions you have made to our great community. On behalf of the 12th Congressional District of Texas, I am pleased to send you my best regards and wishes for your continued success, and I commend you on a job well done.